Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 34 of the Fully Rendered Podcast. We've got a short one for you today. Podcast? What?
Yeah.
I didn't say codcast.
Yeah, you did.
But he didn't.
Podcast.
Anyway, ignore the bold man. We've got a short one for you today. Peachy and Pulp do need to scarper to other things quick, sharp. So
Just blame me.
No,
You can blame me today.
No, it's life, the universe, and everything. No one will be blamed. But yes, we're gonna make
what
it.
if I'm into that?
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Don't king shame, Brian.
In that case, pay me. I ain't doing that for free. But yes, we're going to keep it short and sweet. We're going to burn through two particularly prevalent topics in the space at the moment. I'm sure you can probably guess. One, because I've said it as my title for a start, and two, it's what everyone's been talking about.
Oh my god, here we go.
Before we do, Brian,
yes.
have you got anything I can keep this in?
Your butt.
Some comfy...
Next to the entertainment. I feel like you're trying to do a skit and I'm supposed to get it, but
hammock?
I don't. Banana hammock. I see. I said banana hammock before we went live, ladies and gentlemen. And he's got a golden taco. That's not a euphemism.
Podcast listeners, it's literally an actual taco.
Have you found out what that is? Like from
No!
No.
Do you know, I've asked everyone who would hob and send me
I
stuff.
have a golden taco for my sub badge, but I know it's not mine.
For years, I thought my mod sent me this. Found out today. That's
cute.
not
I
true.
like it.
I like it too, but I don't
really
know
love
why
it.
I have it.
I did try.
I started messaging all my friends, like, did you ever send me a sequined taco? And they're like, are you okay?
I have
No.
a friend of mine went to Amsterdam and sent me a magnet that's just a tiny little red dick.
Fair.
It falls off my fridge all the time, but it's from Amsterdam. I don't want to get rid of it.
Right.
Imagine
I don't know.
now,
I'm never going to Amsterdam.
You've had that for years, and you don't know where it came from. That's
Me?
where I'm at the taco.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just tell people you just got a golden taco.
Yeah.
Let them fill in the blanks.
I'll put it on my CV.
Many people do appreciate.
Just say it's a euphemism, and they'll just try to figure out what you mean by that.
No, I think they know what the taco is.
Well, everyone knows what a taco is, but what about a golden one?
A golden one, gilded. But anyway,
just say it's from Elden Ring.
That
There's a
will
golden
work.
taco in Elden Ring.
That will
It's
work.
topical.
You know, before we do jump into the first topic, I will get something out of the way to alleviate Peachy's anxiety, because he was streaming earlier and he was concerned about what I'd put on the agenda, and I said some Warhammer news that might make Peachy cry.
Oh yeah.
So it's a rumor. It's something that's come from a YouTube channel. I believe they were called Arc Chant or something like that. They've got like 100 subscribers. They cover nerdy stuff in Warhammer, and apparently, obviously, this is a third or secondary source, but apparently they have a insider at Amazon MGM, I believe it's called, who do the movies and TV shows and whatnot. And this alleged insider has not got any information about who the writers are for the Warhammer show that Cavill's supposed to be doing. There's no budget been set aside for it. They'd have like literally no information. So they think it's actually been shelved, since Cavill especially hasn't said anything about it. There was also the rumors that were being started by right-wing grifters about Cavill quitting, which hasn't been substantiated whatsoever. They're basically just trying to stir up the Custodes thing and claiming that Cavill's leaving because it's not authentic and stuff like that, and that Amazon's trying to push for that. But there's no sources for that information. But he hasn't like come out and said, no, we're still doing it, since I believe December. There may have been something in February, but since then there's been no news whatsoever. So they actually think the show has been shelved. But again, it's a rumor from this alleged insider at Amazon MGM, according to this YouTuber who's mates with this insider. So
The only problem I have with that is, rumors are rumors are rumors.
yeah.
They've only just agreed to do something.
Yeah, the
They've only
contract
just signed
very
the
recently got
deal
signed,
to
yeah.
do something. Nothing. There was nothing laid down, just names tied to it.
Yeah.
Games Workshop, Amazon, and Cavill.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. They're saying since the signing, there's just still no writers have been like hired or anything like that. There's basically still just Cavill and Amazon and a contract that says you can do something.
Yeah. And
on
that's
both the big and the small screen. So we don't even know if it's necessarily going to be a series. It could be a movie. But yeah. So
oh God, I hope it's not a movie.
I hope it's a series as well. But yeah.
It should be a series. I feel like there's so much lore that I think a movie would do it a disservice.
Yeah.
It would be too much of a clusterfuck. And as somebody like who's still being educated by Peachy, I wouldn't get enough information. It took him over an hour to explain just the factions to me.
Right.
And no, we didn't do the factions.
That wasn't even the factions. That was just different space marines.
Right.
Which is the recording.
No, we did I was referring to the first one we did, but yeah. Just for the space marines, like it took him over an hour. So, and there's just so much. It's so dense that there was no way you could ever present it in a very like easily digestible way in a movie. It would be so convoluted. And if any, as somebody who's just getting into it myself, you wouldn't be able to explain it to somebody that easily, and they'll be able to come out and it's like, I know everything about Warhammer today.
Yeah.
After 3 hours.
That's not going to happen because the lore is so big. It's essentially a playground to play your war games in, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think
to do that.
I think it needs to be a series for sure.
Yeah.
There are YouTube channels that have been going for 10 years and they are not running out of content. Like they're going to have to do a story. I think this is probably nothing because all they've done so far is say, yes, we can do something. And that's it, right?
100%.
And also, as a Warhammer fan, most of the media we've had is shit.
So having something cancelled isn't that big a deal, I guess. I do
really.
Hope it occurs, especially with Cavill, like
absolutely, I do.
Starring and producing, due to the alleged faithfulness he puts in the material, as it were.
I would much prefer to see a Warhammer product from that agreement with Cavill attached to it.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Would much prefer that, but if it's not, I mean, I have a Warhammer Plus TV subscription. Okay, I know about shit.
Right.
And what do you have?
Huh?
What do you have?
A Warhammer Plus subscription.
What is a Warhammer Plus subscription? Please explain. For the class.
Well, you get all the Warhammer TV stuff they put out.
Okay.
I get to use the app. I get to use the app.
What does the app do?
It tells me the point costs of miniatures in a handy.
DMing Safi, why are you dating this man?
Dude, look at me.
He's got a Warhammer. He's got a Warhammer Plus subscription.
It's not about what's up
she's
here.
applying.
He's
I'm
whole
dumping
package
it.
for her. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right. They also do give you a free miniature.
Okay. I take it all back. Where do I sign up? Is there an affiliate link?
But the ability to buy another one. Okay.
All right.
You do need to get another one. That's true. You were saying you need new shirts. You look wonderful, by the way.
Thank you. We're doing the compliment sandwich here.
Should we jump into the first subject then?
Yeah, I guess let's get it over with.
So, recently, in the last week or so, there has been a lot of news, drama, discourse regarding a man who I'm pretty sure doesn't actually have a medical license, DrDisrespect.
What? This comes out now.
I know.
What?
And that's the drama. He hasn't.
I've been lied to this whole time. He's not a real doctor.
You have been. I'm sorry to break this to you. But the actual
at least we can be agreed that he is very disrespectful.
Yes.
I can agree on that fact for sure. I'll break down the timeline because it's been an ever evolving story day by day, pretty much. But from the beginning,
more coming out of it.
Well, something came out literally 2 days ago that just kind of solidified a lot of things. But I'll get to that in the timer. So
No.
back
Go ahead.
in
the timeline.
Back in 2020, Twitch had signed a 8-figure deal. Words. Most people speculate it was like 10 million to have DrDisrespect as their poster child for 2 years. Then around about a month or so after that, he was temporarily banned because he went into a toilet with a camera, or a cameraman kind of thing, and he was temporarily banned for like a week or something stupid like that. A couple of months after that, he was suddenly permanently banned, and no explanation was given whatsoever, including to Guy Beam, I believe it's pronounced, aka DrDisrespect. Now, Guy said that he was not told what the ban was for. I'm inclined to believe that, because back then especially, Twitch never explained bans, and it was really problematic, because obviously whenever there was like false positives, it was really difficult for people to appeal it.
Wasn't it also, I saw that around that time, because I have a feeling because we were all in lockdown, they made their own task force called Golden Sparrow or something like that in order to look into things like that.
Getting to that. I'll get to that, don't worry.
Oh, sorry.
No, all good. So he gets banned. No one knows why. No one has any clue whatsoever. Around about a year later, he suddenly goes, I'm suing Twitch. We finally found out. Now I'm suing them. He doesn't explain what he found out. He doesn't tell anyone. He just goes, I'm going to sue them. Fuck those guys. I'm going to make bank. However long later, they go to court and then they settle. And
Civil case.
Was it a civil case?
It was a civil suit.
Okay, civil suit. So they settle, and the outcome was neither party agrees to any wrongdoing or admitted to any wrongdoing. And he got his contract paid. And some people have been interpreting that as him winning, which is not the case. They settled. If he won, he would have won. But so that got settled, and then nothing for years.
Settlements can also be just shutting someone up too.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. 100%. So nothing happens until about 4 years later, and a chap called Connor, who's an ex-Twitch employee, but not just any ex-Twitch employee. A lot of people have been going, oh, this can't be substantiated. He's just some ex-Twitch employee. They think he's just some bloke who appeared in your chat with a little spanner or wrench symbol next to their name. This guy was the ex-director of partnerships and strategy. He wasn't just a random ex-Twitch employee. This dude knew shit, was probably very involved in what happened with DrDisrespect. And he posts a tweet, not naming anyone, but basically, I'm going to paraphrase it because we've all seen it by now, but he basically says he was banned because he was DMing in Whispers, or the Whispers system at the time, a minor, and it was very explicit. Fuck that guy, and that's why we kicked him. Twitch did nothing wrong. Everyone immediately was like, that's about DrDisrespect. What the fuck? And you had journalists who were chiming in going, like, oh my god, he just said it. Like, we knew this, or we were told this, but we only had secondary and tertiary sources, so we didn't actually
No one would publish it.
Yeah, because they couldn't get a primary source.
Like Slasher.
Well, also there's things to take into consideration that there's a possibility that the case was also to protect the minor's identity.
Yeah, and we'll come to that as well in a moment.
Yeah, of course.
So you had all these journalists who were saying, like, yeah, we this is what we also heard. We just couldn't, 100% confirm it, and that's why we never published anything. Then there was another Twitch employee, I believe his name was Zachary Diaz, something to that effect, again, someone who was like at least middle to senior management. He was like, I'm really glad this is finally out. And then the journalists started getting other Twitch employees anonymously adding things to the story. So at this point, there's a lot of like suspicion. People like, oh, it's just some disgruntled guy who's just a hater going after the doc. Doc won his lawsuit because Doc then goes, no wrongdoing, like reiterates what the outcome of the lawsuit was.
A lot of legalese the way he was talking.
Yeah, he was like, no wrongdoing was found or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know I personally tweeted, that's a really weird way to say, hey, I don't touch kids. Like, why wouldn't you just say that? You'd think that's what you would say. But no, he was like, no wrongdoing was found, and Twitch paid out.
Which sounds like something was found out.
Yeah, something was found out.
And it sounds like you were trying to protect your reputation, buddy.
Yeah, 100%. And then he eventually does another big tweet after his company, Midnight Society, I believe it's called, who he founded and was a massive publisher for the NFT game, lol. They kick him out. They said they've done it.
It's not an NFT game anymore, by the way.
Oh, not anymore. Okay, fair enough. Still lol. But either way, they were like, we've done our own investigation. We found the things out. We've kicked him. We don't want him on the team. And then like the CEO or the co-founder did a non-PR tweet who was like, listen, if you're texting minors, I don't want to work with you. Just straight out said it. So they've obviously had some form of confirmation behind it. Yeah, 100%. So then that's when the doc does this edited, unedited, edited again tweet where it was like, yes, there was an individual
first, and then it was after the stream when he found out, he made the big statement. That's what I thought was the order of events.
He did make a live statement, and he didn't really say anything in when he was streaming. He was just basically, "Oh, I'm done. I want to move on."
Yeah, he said he was like burnt out or he was tired, and he also said that he made it sound like he wasn't coming back, like he was tired of social media.
Yeah, and then he does this tweet. And the key part to focus on is where he admits it. And he goes, yes, in 2017, which is an important date, there were whisper messages with a minor. And then he edited it to individual. Then he edited it again to individual minor. And then people were like, dude, we can see your edits. What the fuck are you doing? kind of thing. So then who was initially defending him is just like, well, most of the people, especially the bigger names, Nick Merckx, etc., Tim the Tatman, they're like, yeah, okay, we're gonna stop defending you now. You just straight up admitted that's not cool. You're like a 35 at the time 35-year-old guy messaging inappropriately or leaned inappropriately in his statement, whispers to a minor.
And he also said like, I should have never entertained it. And it's what's so nuts to me is like I kind of like think things like, put yourself in that position. That man was older than me when he did that.
Yeah. So he's 39
7
now.
years ago he did that, and he was older than I am now. And it's like, I can't even like, there's like a rule of like, just there shouldn't be, my personal rule is there's no reason to ever be privately messaging a minor unless I'm related to them.
Yeah, 100%.
Ever.
Absolutely agree. I'm sure most people would agree.
As a content creator, you should just avoid them like the plague.
Yeah, 100%. So then the discourse somewhat evolved from there. Then it turned into a small subset, I would say, of people who are still avid doc defenders who was like, oh, well, she was 17 or whatever. It's not that bad. And again, I would point out it's not a 17-year-old.
He's more than twice her age.
Yeah, it's not someone being chatted up by a 19-year-old. It's a middle-aged like dude basically chatting up a kid. Let's be real here.
Someone who isn't legally an adult.
Yes.
Can't consent.
Yeah, 100%. So you've got that part of the discourse, and then you had people going, well, did he know that she was underage? To which...
Oh, you're putting that fucking dickhead
I have to say,
on you.
I hate this argument where people go like, did he know? You are a 35-year-old fucking man who's been on the internet for long enough to know how to traverse this. If you are not checking that shit, that's on you. Absolutely. And I've even like tried to look at this. Like, I understand, like we have like big creators that are like maybe 19, 20. And if there's like a misconception of like how old someone is, it's not as bad as somebody who's 35. I look at 17-year-olds, they look 17 to me.
Yeah.
This isn't like, oh, she's not, maybe she's 19 or something. It's like, dude, you're like, even if she was 19, you're too old for her.
Yeah, 100%.
Go ahead.
But that's not the issue, right? 19 is technically
no. But I mean that's the thing is like it's what frustrates me with that one is he's been on the internet for a long time. It's not his first rodeo, and what you should be as with someone as big of a platform as he had, because he was massive back then. He fell off quite a bit ever since he got banned from Twitch. I mean, but he's still massive.
Yeah.
Well. It's not like he's new to the internet.
He knows better.
It's not like yeah, exactly.
He absolutely knows better.
There should not ever be a case that you should. I'm going to talk in circles. Go ahead.
No, all good. So yeah, so then that's when you would say, well, surely if he didn't know, he would have put that in his long ass repeatedly edited statement like, I didn't know. But he didn't. It seems pretty cut and dry that he's admitted to it. He's probably playing it down a little bit by saying leaning inappropriately.
He said things like, my intentions weren't they weren't serious. I wasn't going to meet her anyway. It's like, have y'all ever seen To Catch a Predator?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Doesn't that sound alarmingly similar to what all of them's like? I just wanted to make sure she was okay. What was she doing there?
Yeah, 100%. And they all got arrested.
So I'm in the camp. I'm not going to call him a pedophile because if she was 17, that's not pedophilia, but he is absolutely a predator. That is very, very predatorial.
To add to that, I think it's reasonable to say that if you're calling someone a pedo, you don't literally mean that they go under a specific demographic of child. Wait. This is to defend you, don't worry. So, like, okay. But when people are like, well, technically, actually, he's a whatever the other terminology is when it's a teenager and sort of thing. It's like, come on, colloquially, you're a fucking pedo. Like, behave yourself. Like, we don't have to play semantics games. Just call a spade a spade. You know what I mean?
I just think that it does take away the impact of the word when we're talking about, like, in this case, I think it is he is a very predatorial kind of person.
Power dynamic alone.
Yeah. Even the case, because I've seen people bring up about like the person he cheated on his wife with was 24. Even that's kind of predatorial. Him alone, he's a massive creator.
We're not saying that is predatorial. It is a 24-year-old woman. That's fine.
No, but I mean, it's like the power dynamic.
Power dynamic does.
He can use that power
with that,
which is a predatorial way of going about it. He knows he can get his way. That's what, like, and people like even if they were another creator, he's larger than them. They have something to get, or they feel like they might have something to gain from him. He has, and in his mind, he has nothing to lose by fucking around with them.
Okay, it's just to save us. It's very easy to exploit. That's what Pulp is trying to say. It's very easy to exploit that power dynamic. We're not saying that that's what that was, but when you have that much power, fame, money, it is very easy to exploit that. Mm-hmm. We're not saying that's what happened with whoever he cheated on his wife.
But in the case with
but for someone who isn't an adult, when
they're not an adult, it is. Yes.
That is.
But then there's more, because as I mentioned a couple of days ago, and one of these anonymous Twitch employees who was speaking to a journalist basically was like, no, they were hella explicit. They were on whispers, so you can't send images, but it was straight up sexting. Like, they were talking the dirty. So that's where we go back to 2020. How did this come about? How come we didn't hear anything for so long? And there's loads of theories being thrown around that it was Twitch just trying to cover things up. It was all fake. It was all blown out of proportion. Why else would the doc store get paid? Things like that. So as Pulp mentioned earlier, back in 2020, in June, that's when they did the this strike force, as it were, in response to the Me Too movement in June of 2020. So loads of people were coming out, loads of creators were getting, I was about to say atheists, lots of creators were getting outed for abusive relationships, things like that. And it turns out that
a heavy week. Just shitty
creators. Heavy month, and it was obviously during the riots and stuff as well.
I know there's quite a few YouTubers and stuff. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, absolutely. So Twitch
there'll be another one down the line.
Oh yeah,
very likely.
The thing to take away from this is where there's smoke, there's fire. So the fact that we already knew that in 2017 he cheated on his wife with someone else who was of age. Mm-hmm. I don't care. First off, I want to put this very bluntly. When it's something like cheating on your wife, that's personal. That's between you and your wife. I don't think that needs to be the internet's business. However, what you should extrapolate from it is who he's going after. He's going after people who I don't know. Even if, like I said, even if they were fellow creators, that's still a fan of his. He'll be with the level of power that he has in comparison to any person he would interact with.
Mhm.
There is a responsibility for people with
Yes,
that
and
much.
so that's
to
something we
deal
should
with.
extrapolate from the cheating scandal. I don't give a shit that you cheated on your wife, dude. I don't support cheaters, but I don't give a shit that go to a
That is
counselor.
him being an asshole. This is
Yes, go to a marriage counselor. Don't go to your Twitch stream about that.
Yeah.
However,
No,
I
100%.
I want a t-shirt with that on.
but I believe what you could extrapolate from that is he has a pattern of behavior of going after people who he has there is a power imbalance with, and he does tend to go after, he went after like a child, like, or a
People substantially
17's
younger
still
than
child
him.
to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, and it is gross. And I even like would use, like, I'm glad that you brought up the bathroom ban, because I feel like people don't discuss that one as serious of an offense that one was. Because then because I saw a screenshot when people were discussing this. I was looking into it, like, on Reddit and stuff, just to see what people were saying. And someone showed a screenshot, sorry, from the bathroom incident, and there's a child, like, he looks like 12 years old next to the bathroom, or sorry, next to the sink, sorry. And it's like, I'm a chick. We always, and I don't want to get into like whole bathroom discussions, but when I'm, in women's bathrooms, we have stalls. So like if someone's coming in filming, it's still a dick move, but we have stalls. So I don't feel as vulnerable when I'm taking a piss.
Right.
We have troughs.
You guys, yeah, you have troughs, or you have the urinal like stalls, which are still open. He is extremely fucking lucky that that kid was not in the urinal. He is extremely lucky. And if I found out if I had a child and I found out some asshole walked in with a camera to stream to thousands of people, I'd send my husband after him. I'm not going after him. That guy's 6'8". I found out that guy's 6'8". I'll send him after you.
Yeah, 100%.
But like, yeah, it's like I would rip your head off. Like, excuse me. And that's another pattern of behavior here of how irresponsible he is with his platform. That's more what I wanted to focus on. It's like I just always get heated about the bathroom thing. I think it's not enough people I don't think people got mad enough about that one. But that's the thing, is that it shows a pattern of behavior, the kind of person he is, and that you're willing, like, and one of the things I love that he put in his statement is, I am not the same person as back then. I'm not that same guy. And it's like, yes, you are. Yeah. You are that same guy. Because the only reason why you're saying something right now is because you got caught, is because people are talking about it again and you're upset.
Here's the reason he made that statement. It's for all those people, because man still wants to get paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason is for all those people who are going, oh, well, did he know? Because that's not going to come out. That's probably all tied up in legal shit, right? What, like, it's nothing. He's a different person. Like, he's come out and just said that. So
he literally just said it.
Some portion. I mean, it's going to be smaller than it was, but he's going to retain some portion of those diehard fans who.
Oh, when he comes back, he will have a large audience again.
Oh yeah,
mark my words on that.
There's always going to be people who will stand culture.
He will. Yeah, he's gonna be fine. But the thing was I lost my train of thought. But
basically, he's a dickhead. But
yeah,
wait.
no, he's a dick. And but basically, there's a pattern of behavior. What I was trying to say is that where there's smoke, there's fire. So while we don't know what else is, like, whom else he's talked to, that's what I was getting back to, is that we already know he slept with somebody in 2017, cheated on his wife with, which we just look at the details about that. I don't care. Go to again, get therapy for that. Talk to your wife, not the internet. But we know that this girl person, this minor, was he was talking to them in 2017, was planning to meet up at TwitchCon. We don't know at all. And this is me, like, obviously theorizing. We don't know if he maybe ran into them at TwitchCon and anything was taken off platform. We don't know anything. What his statement tells us is that he didn't meet them on the platform.
So
but we don't know anything.
we do. is what the bit I'm about to get to. So what it, as we mentioned previously, there was this strike
so
force
much to the
created.
story.
Yeah. So there was this strike force created to look into. Basically, a lot of people were suddenly coming forward about, oh, this happened with this creator as well, blah blah blah. So this issue with the miner happened in 2017, and then in 2020, as part of the Me Too movement, it's believed that the miner was like, oh wait, that was fucked up. I had a guy in his mid-30s chatting me up, sexting me, etc. when I was a kid. Oh, I should tell someone about that. And then told Twitch. And that's when Twitch investigated it. That's why there's that 3-year gap. So that's
is that what happened?
Yeah.
I don't think I saw that update.
Yeah. So that.
Sorry.
No, all good. So that's why they suddenly were checking out his DMs. And that's when they were like, oh, wait, this is actually true. He was, being a pedo, to put it bluntly. And that's
I
why
get
they got
really
rid of him.
heated about adults going after kids if it's not obvious.
100%. I imagine most people do,
I mean,
set
because
them on
like the
fire.
thing I've talked about like this is just such a prevalent problem. Like I feel like just in so many ways, like social media, it's been a mistake. We like before when like it just for things like this, like people with so much power and influence it's so easily accessible for them. And the thing is, like I was talking about this on my stream last night about how like when I was younger, like there was things like Leo Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was in 3rd grade when that was thing when Titanic came out.
Right.
And like 8-year-olds going like, oh my god, Emilio's so hot, like things like that. But it's like back then, like celebrity was like untouchable, before things like Twitter and all that. It was like you'd have to be at the right place, right time, no right person in order to meet them. Imagine having that like that level of access to like how mental kids like when like children can be like they are not emotionally mature yet.
Yeah.
So like she did not they did nothing wrong. Like the child did nothing, the minor did nothing wrong. That's what I'm getting at. But like imagine like having that unfettered access to to a celebrity that you have such a huge crush on, and like they reciprocate it. It's so the thing, they don't know what they're doing. They think everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until upon like reflection, like when you 17 and an older guy is paying attention and it's someone that you have you look up to, you think he's so hot, that's subjective. You're going to be like, you're going to get so flattered. They did nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. When engaging in conversation. And of course, teenagers get inappropriate sometimes. They think that they're trying to be perceived as older, so they're going to play the game. And and that's when as the adult, as the 35-year-old man, you have to go and say, if they got in her, I keep saying she, I don't know, I'm assuming. So if they got inappropriate, instead of entertaining it, I should not have entertained it. It's his job to put a stop to it immediately, cut communication. Absolutely. Because you tell them no, but then you cut communication because you already know what the intentions are. And the intentions, no matter what, are going to be there if it's a teenager trying to talk to their favorite creator. Yeah. Usually. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't want to make assumptions for everyone's character, but that's usually the case. And that's your job as the creator, as the celebrity. So I don't buy any of his excuses.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
Any of them.
Many people do. At least people.
And
who are not insane.
What really makes me sad, the saddest part about it is like people, because he always likes to bring up that he's a husband and a father. That kid's gonna grow up, and now it's gonna find out that because now those tweets are forever, baby. Mm-hmm. Like that's the most depressing thing is when his kid grows up to see what kind of a shitbag their dad is. Yeah. Because like, God damn, dude, you just straight up admitted it. Yeah. And it's depressing. It's the most depressing part for me.
Absolutely.
He should be ashamed of himself.
So I suppose the discussion then should move on to what has been questioned by many people who've been witnessing this all unfold. There's a lot of questions as to why the journalists didn't pipe up. We've touched on that briefly already. There's why did Twitch not say anything when they found out? Why did it go to a civil suit instead of, you know, being reported to the police? Why have the police not made any statements? Why isn't he locked up, etc.? And I think a lot of people, I think there's a lot of answers to a lot of those questions that is just based in naivety, because you've got corporations for a start. Corporations treat that as business as usual. If there is a scandal, they're not going to talk about it because it's bad publicity. As I mentioned at the beginning of the timeline, DrDisrespect just signed a contract for 10 mil, or what we believe to be 10 mil, probably more, to be the poster child of Twitch. Twitch don't want to be like, yeah, so you know that guy that we just paid.
Look good.
Yeah, it doesn't make them look good at all. They don't want to be there going, yeah, this guy we just paid him 10 million to creep on minors. Like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean?
Didn't you want to be vetting?
That's not publicity they want, is it?
Wouldn't you have wanted to vet him before you offered him a deal like that?
Yeah, to be fair, but you know, after the fact, that's when they found out, and it's not something you want to talk about. No one vets anyone. There's also the fact that a minor was involved. Now, not only a minor involved, but a minor involved probably across state lines in the US.
Yeah.
Potentially even countries.
It's very annoying in the States. And that's something I've been thinking about too, is that if where does he live? Is he in the state of California?
No idea.
Okay. I'm in California, and the state of the age of consent here is 18. But in Nevada, which is like a state over, is 16. So theoretically, like, I don't know. Well, I mean, there wasn't any engagement, like physical engagement, from what we understand. So thank God for that. But what I guess what it is, it muddies the water a lot. Because if the age of consent if it's like flipped, and like the age of consent for the child or the minor is 16 or 17, but he was in a state where it's 18, technically he's doing something wrong, but like the minor wouldn't be. Like, do you see how it's like kind of weird? Like, it makes it muddies the water a lot.
Well, there's that, and
I think that I've been wondering if that might be something that's going on.
There's that, but there's also the fact that it's actually incredibly hard to prosecute for that sort of thing, even over here in the UK, unless there is like explicit images and stuff like that. Bearing in mind this is in the Whisper system, it was literally just messages.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I never used the Whisper system, and I didn't even know that. Yeah. I actually was
the only person using was fucking DrDisrespect, apparently.
Yeah.
But the police department, or at least the police here in the States, I'm pretty sure it's the same over there too. They're just so behind the times when it comes to investigating online crime. Well, and
the thing you got to consider is,
I don't think they know exactly how to go about stuff still, like the way, you know.
I don't think it's
from
so
what
much,
I understand.
I don't think it's so much that, and I hate that I have to say this because it's a horrible thing to realize, and I apologize to everyone who's about to come across this realization as well. They probably get reports of like middle-aged men DMing teens all the fucking time. They don't have the capacity to go through that shit.
What's sad is, this is what I know about the police, is they can't do anything unless it's within their jurisdiction. So in the case with DrDisrespect, like, we'll just use him as an example because I don't want to like make it like too. I just want to stay on topic. The report would have to go to the police department where he resides in the county he resides in.
Yeah.
It can't be where the minor was. It has to be where the crime was committed. And I'm not saying he committed a crime. Don't get it twisted. I'm saying that if it turns out like it might, you know, there is something there. So if it's an older guy and he's the one, obviously he's the one acting inappropriately, you can't just call any police. You have to know exactly where they're located. Exactly. And it has to be that police department in order to act on it. So if it's like you could go, for example, let's say someone lives in, we'll just use California. Let's say he lives in LA. Which county, where in LA County does he live? And if they live in, like, say, Burbank, then you'd have to call the Burbank police or the Santa Monica police if they're in Santa Monica. Like, it's so particular with how you would report this that it's like it's nearly impossible to get anything done. And it is very depressing when you put it in that context. And there has to be, like, that's why the, you know, meeting up with intent, exchange of images is important. So if it's just through text, like, you can even, like, this is not saying that this is the case, but unfortunately they can even use the defense that it might not have been him using the account.
No, that's actually valid. Like, so I've actually got a friend who is a policeman who works in cyber crime and stuff like that, and like we've talked about like pirating, all these things, and he has literally said like it is so easy to get out of so many like cyber internet-based crimes because you can just say, oh, I clicked on it by accident, or I didn't mean to do that. That's why they always go for people that do have the shit on the hard drives. One, because of how much people are getting reported. It has to be hard evidence. You need the hard evidence, and there are so many people constantly being reported that they have to go for the big fish that are guaranteed cases and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you're 100% right, and that's the
that's
the saddest thing. It's like
I hate
you could
bestowing this knowledge upon you all, but that's unfortunately the reality.
I have my own experience with the police too, so I, you know, same shit. Like, I'm just giving you the like from what I learned from the States, and what's so distressing about the like him saying things like no wrongdoing, nothing illegal. He's absolutely right in saying that, because there's nothing the police could have done with what little evidence would have been presented. So there's nothing, they can't claim that anything criminal happened.
Yeah.
And
what we say without a shadow of a doubt is that guy is a fucking asshole.
He is awful. And I'm just going to say something controversially up, Brave. I never liked him. Never liked him.
Same. Like,
I always thought he was a piece of shit.
I'd already heard things about him, you know. Everyone talks to each other in this space, and I know plenty of people that have met him outside a character, and they're like, yeah, it turns out it's not that much of a character. It's like sure, he exaggerates
Shocker,
it, but,
the shock jock, the guy who acts like a shock jockey is a piece of shit. I hope he hits his head on the way out because he's so fucking tall.
True. But yeah, so you've got that aspect of it, and as I mentioned, I think a lot of people put a lot more faith in corporations than they perhaps should. Corporations,
they really shouldn't.
Illegal shit happens at corporations all the time. They don't want the publicity. They don't even want to pay for the admin to deal with the shit like that.
You know who they're worried about? Themselves.
It's the shareholders. It's the money. It's the stakeholders. It's the bottom line at the end of the day. I do think Twitch should be commended. I do think Twitch should be commended, because at the end of the day, they literally invested 10 million quid into this dude, or $10 million, sorry, and then they were like, no, we're still getting rid of him. We could have kept it quiet. We could have said nothing was found, but they didn't. They did still get rid of him, despite the fact that as part of the settlement, they still had to pay him. But they still got rid of him. He is still banned to this day.
Yeah.
But then there's more, because then a trans woman started sharing her DMs.
I heard about this.
And her DMs. So go on.
No, it's just go ahead.
So I didn't look through all of them because I was exhausted by this point. But basically, she messaged him and was like, hi, do you know anyone big at Twitch so I can, you know, discuss partnership? And it went from that to him basically immediately saying, oh, you know, do some dirty shows for me and stuff like that. And which is, you know, strange considering he bats for the anti-trans crowd, as far as I was aware, and like sided with it. Yeah. When Nick Merckx got called out for it initially a couple of years ago, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna boycott COD because they kicked out Nick Merckx from the partnership programs."
I saw that he turned down a sponsorship from Starfield because they use pronouns in the game.
He had a massive hissy fit about that as well. Like he's very anti-woke and stuff like that.
Oh my god. Shocker, everyone has a pronoun.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are not aware of that. But yeah, so it turns out that everything he's ever complained about and been, you know, an avid like hater of, he seems to participate in quite frequently.
The most vocal people like that are the biggest hypocrites. If they're anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-this, anti-that, they're usually, there's like some secret there.
Oh yeah,
like
the skeletons are there. rattling.
It's like they're ashamed of it in a way.
Yeah.
Some of
And
that
it's like-
is like hidden in fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but what if I do like?
You hear that a lot with
Mhm.
like a lot of politicians, like when they start passing a lot of these anti
Politicians are inherently massive hypocrites anyway.
Oh,
I
no,
never believe a word that
precisely.
comes out of their fucking
No, for sure, precisely. But I'm saying like that's why you always hear like see like the ones who are like the most vocal about like these issues, or like they're the ones hiring gay prostitutes because they and in fear, and then doing a shit ton of drugs. They're like they're nuts.
Yeah, 100%.
It's nuts, and it's like no practicing what they preach, and it's
regardless of his level of whichever fucking
no, it's like the thing. But the point with this too
used.
is at least they were of age.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, God.
So the next thing
They
was,
were
of course, why did the journalists not say anything? And I recently read I believe it was a Reddit post by Jason Schreier where he explains what he can and can't do and how he gets sources and what category they're classed in. So, for example, no one had a primary or like first-hand source. They had no one who was in the room who made the decision. They probably had people like the folks
Or
who
they
tweeted,
had no one that would go on record who
at
was
least,
on the room.
in the room. Or be an informant. So they had no primary sources, but they did have secondary. So people who found out the information because they either overheard it or was part of the signing the piece of paper that says, yes, his contract is now void or whatever kind of thing, but weren't actually a decision maker. So they had those sources, but if you have secondary or tertiary sources, you need substantially more of them to get them past your editor. And that is basically why the journalists didn't say anything, because you've got all these big publications. They can't go, oh, it turns out Dr. Disrespect likes to
Dr. Respect.
Dr. Disrespect doesn't know how to respect kids kind of thing. Like, they can't make that kind of publication or put that out in their publication without being basically bulletproof. So that's why no one said anything for years. I bet all the journalists were gutted that some dude was just like, I'm just going to tweet it. They were like, I was writing the story for years.
I mean,
Well, look at the shit that happened to Rob Breslow, Slasher.
Yeah.
People fucking like kicked him off the internet basically because he's like, I know what it is. It's gross, but for the same reason that no one would publish his story, he can't say anything.
And I think that makes a good segue to the final point as well. And I tweeted this a few days ago. It involved a minor. This is a very sensitive thing. You can't just talk about that shit. You can't even say where they're from, like what state, or even the country. You have to be
people trying to find out who the minor is need to knock that off. That's not the point.
Yeah, no,
that's
absolutely.
not the point here.
Yeah, no.
But yeah,
The
so
whole point is to protect that person
Exactly.
and people in that
need to
situation.
protect them. They might not. Hopefully, they're not a minor anymore.
hopefully
but,
not. Hopefully not.
Yeah,
so like,
we shouldn't be trying to find out who it is, because that's not the point of any conversation around this.
100%. So yeah, but because it involves a minor, you've got to treat it very, very sensitively. And I think
Absolutely.
I like to think that is another reason why both Twitch, because there were people and there are people at Twitch who care. There are humans who work at this company at the end of the day.
Humans care. Like the humans who work in a corporation care, but the corporation as a whole doesn't give a shit.
Yes, 100%.
Because corporations aren't people.
And listen, what I've seen people like, they try to tear down like the Cody with like what his intentions were because of his old tweets, trying to like dangle the news as a carrot. But the one thing we can take away is that someone had to say something to get the ball rolling, and I will commend him for doing that.
Yeah, 100%. And just to elaborate further, I do hope we never find out who it was. I genuinely, sincerely,
I don't want to know.
We never find out, even if they are of age, even if it's in 10 years' time, because
I hope they're having a good life.
Yeah,
a better
absolutely.
life now.
I 100% agree, but you absolutely know that the stan culture crowd are just going to go after them, and they will make their like online life hell, because there's no amount of this that you can do to point out how much like it's true that Dr. Disrespect did what he did and they'll be like, no, I still stand for him. Whatever.
In his own words.
You're gonna. There's always going to be. But here's the thing: if those degenerates are going to be the one who support him, and I'm, be happy or proud of that crowd. I wouldn't want them.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want them either. I wouldn't want them at all.
I think I agree with what you're saying. So I really hope that no one ever finds out who it is. I really that the only takeaway from this story is that this is something that should have never ever happened, and it's the fact that he thought, I don't know, actually I don't know what he thought, saying like the way he spelled out the the news, and think it, I don't know if he was hoping people would be like, oh my god, he just out and said it. Well, no one was going to do that.
I actually tweeted that, like, have you seen the season of The Boys?
I haven't. I've been watching it, but no.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's a character called Firecracker who basically like fucks someone underage and then goes up on stage and was like, I've since found God and I've changed and I'm not like that and I'm not a not a predator and blah blah blah. And then it's basically like loads of people are like, did he just do a firecracker? Like admitting to it before the news got out properly, but then was claiming that he's not a pedo and he's not a predator.
What he knows he can keep. Yeah, that's what that is.
100%.
It's just the whole like I'm gonna cut the bullshit and then proceeds with bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like
The thing is, right? If I was actually talking about this with a friend, like if he just goes radio silent, ignores it, yes, for the next year, maybe 2 years, like he'll carry on where he is. Mm-hmm. Then boom, everything gone. So he's gone, right, we consolidate now. We keep those people who I have somehow fooled.
I'm waiting for the kick announcement
that I'm good. And then I know where I am then. Like, he's just holding on to what he can. Yeah. And yeah. Well, I mean, he hasn't been relevant since.
My thing is like, he's going to have those there are going to be people who still support him, and no matter what, and that's unfortunate. Like I said, I still will never understand, like, I mean, I guess I don't know what the intention was when he outright said it. I mean, it's
I think like you don't even that he thought he was doing more damage control than he actually did.
Yeah, it's crazy because it was the most career-ending statement I had ever seen, and I'm only saying this like, this is like setting aside my own personal morals and everything, just looking at this as like a business standpoint. It's like, dude, like you didn't even try to deny it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was. When I read it, I was like, holy shit. I don't know what he was expecting to come from that, but like I'm seeing people like Jacksepticeye just calling you fucking disgusting. I'm like, yeah, there you go. That's everybody saw that phrase and didn't like it.
I've got a feeling that was him getting sick of things, not listening to his lawyer, and then just posting mindlessly on Twitter.
There's a reason why I gotta listen to your lawyer sometimes.
Yeah, there's absolutely a reason. So
but in relation to that, like the one thing I will say is the only grateful thing I am of it is like, you know what? At least now we know that now we know for sure. You flat out admitted it.
Yeah.
We now know for sure. And I guess thanks for that, buddy. Because I'll always know every time I see your name, every time I see your stupid face, I texted Minor.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. 100%.
I did it. And it's like, ugh.
Absolutely.
The worst thing is what I found out during this stream. He's not even a real doctor.
He's not.
Oh my god, he's not this bastard lied about having a PhD. I've been calling him a doctor this whole time.
I don't even think he's like the 2-time champion or whatever he used to say as well. I think it's all lies, But anyway,
we're gonna take a break, Brian.
Yes, we're gonna take the break.
Talking about assholes.
Yeah, so we're gonna go.
Get over how tall he was.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will be listening to Pulp talk about Elden Ring and also a bit of the discourse regarding the DLC and reviews and stuff like that. So go get yourselves a drink, and we'll be back in around about 5 minutes, and mics will be hot.
Hot.
Welcome back to the second half of the Fully Rendered podcast. We're going to jump straight into the next topic, and we're going to talk about Elden Ring and the DLC.
Hell yeah.
So, when the reviewers, the journalists who are bad at video
Here we
games,
go.
allegedly, when they got it, a lot of them
boy.
gave very, very high scores. It's the best reviewed DLC ever now. It's taken over the crown from Blood and Wine, which was for The Witcher 3. And then Eurogamer posted their review for it. And their review was a 3 out of 5, and the main tagline was difficulty for the sake of difficulty, or something to that effect, or for difficulty's sake. And
That's right. Was it Euro? I didn't know it was Eurogamer. I remember someone had a.
Yeah, I believe it was
Would have
Eurogamer.
expected IGN.
So,
I thought it was IGN or Kotaku.
well,
Wait,
IGN are
is
doing.
Eurogamer owned by IGN now?
Well, that's the thing. Like, so to give people a bit of a look behind the curtain when it comes to reviews, because obviously you've got this stigma that journalists don't know how to play games. What happens? So let's use IGN for an example. They will be given a copy of the game to review. They'll get the key to users for their review copy. Someone in the office or the editor will go, who wants to review this? And if you've got a large company like IGN, you've probably got some Souls fans in your office who will go, ooh, me. I love those fucking games. Let me review it. So you're going to have some journalists who are really fucking good at the game. But if you've got smaller establishments where it's maybe only one or two of you who do all the games reviews and you don't like it, but it's the biggest game of the year, one of you has to do it and you might not be very good at it. So that's why you sometimes get these reviews where people are like, oh, I just wasn't very good at it.
Yeah.
I still think those reviews are valid because you're going to have
not-
people who are going to want to check it out who are not good at those games, and they're going to, they're going to vibe and empathize with those people. So I think those
Yeah.
reviews
A
are
valid
absolutely
review
valid.
for someone like me.
Yeah, exactly.
My brother, when I was younger, my brother used to review games for a website. I don't remember what they were called anymore. But he used to I think he had like a list that he had to sign up for, or like he basically broke down what kind of games he played, and then they would just send him copies, because this is back in like the early 2000s, by the way. So before keys. And I remember like one time they sent him like a FIFA game, like some kind of sports game, and he didn't like sports games. So he was like, why the fuck did they ask me to review this? I fucking hate these games. So it's like, it kind of gave me like a little bit of an insider, like, see from like way before, going like, yeah, not all the time they're going to know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah. So, and as for the difficulty spike, like it's there. But there's they give you like
It'd be
the game, like,
disappointing if it wasn't. Elden Ring.
so I played Dark Souls 3 right before this, and I played through the Ring City DLC, and I forgot the other one name, but it doesn't matter. And the DLC for Dark Souls 3, and I played the old Hunters for Bloodborne back when I was still playing Bloodborne. The DLC has always been harder than the main game.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, 100%. So after the critic reviews were received and everyone started dunking on Eurogamer, it was like, oh, get good. Obviously then it became released to the public. And then the Steam reviews were mixed. And it was around about, I think at one point, about 40% positive. And people were saying, oh shit, no, it's fucking hard. Like, I'm actually really, really struggling.
And while we were on break, I was explaining that I've had 2 characters prepare for the DLC, and the one I went into is New Game Plus 3. So I've been streaming it like every single day since it came out. And I can absolutely attest that I've even said during my stream, like, one of my biggest regrets is I wish I went with my other character. I just played with the NG Plus 3 one because that's my PC game. That's my PC playthrough, and I have more friends who are playing Elden Ring on PC than on PS5. But like I've noticed that there is that because already I have a little bit of a difficulty spike from just that alone.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, the way the DLC presents itself is that there are these so it's pronounced shadow, I've learned, but I was calling them skadoosh.
Yeah, a lot of people were, yeah.
Yeah, so I will call them skadoosh because that's what I say. But so you have the skadoosh fragments that are everywhere, and you have the ashes, like the for like your summons and for the horse, and then you have the fragments for yourself. And the game they primed you before the DLC even came out that was their leveling system. And I've even seen like arguments of saying that's like putting training wheels on. I think I saw I forgot who I saw said that. And I was like, excuse me?
No, it's a dumb comment. That's definitely a dumb comment.
If it's in the game, I'm just hardline on this. If it's in the game, you're meant to use it. You can use it. It's player choice. If you want to use summons, use summons. If you want to summon in friends, summon in your friends. If you want to use the fragments, if you want to put on no armor, if you want to be soul level 1, fine. That doesn't make you a better gamer or a worse gamer because you choose to utilize the tools that are given to you by the developers.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hacking, it doesn't like it. If it's in the game, it's in the game.
If it's a solo game, hack the fuck out of that shit. That's your game.
People have been modding it to make it easier.
This is it's a solo game, but there is like online interaction. So but if you do choose to play offline and mod the game and hack it, that's your prerogative, as long as you're not hurting someone else.
Yeah.
I knew it was difficult because let me solo her.
Mm-hmm.
Is having trouble. First of all, Pride Month, shout out to let me solo her, to put transitioning to let me solo him. No, okay.
Awful.
Brian's like actually angry at me.
No, I'm not angry. No. It's just awful. My dad joke earlier was better, and you gave me a warning for that.
that was peak. No, like when he said, "Okay, I'm having difficulty," I was like, "Fuck you know."
Yeah, because the fight.
Let me solo her is having issues. He
said he's struggling on the final boss. I was just saying during the break. I was on him. I got to the final boss 2 days ago, and I was like, and 2 days ago I was like, I'm just gonna prep. I'm gonna get all the gear that I need. I'm gonna look up everyone's builds. I'm gonna figure this out. And did a whole day of just trying to find shit. And
you just can't do that. So that's something.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. That's true. But I went, and then I went and I wiped on the motherfucker with builds that people like have said that this is what worked for them. I tried it, and I literally had an existential crisis, you guys, right after. I sat there at one point. I'm like, am I just really bad at these games?
Mm.
I thought it was good, and I do that every now and again with Souls. I do that. But this whole DLC, it is hard. It's not easy. The reason why they put it behind a wall. You had to fight Radon and you had to fight Moog. And if you look at the Steam achievements, only 40% of players have passed Moog.
Are those quite difficult bosses to beat?
Yeah, Moog's in the base game, Moog's one of the hardest. People say Melania. I actually didn't have that much of a my build was, I got a peak build for her, but Moog was like he's tough. He's a tough boy. And
he's in an optional area. And there's 2 of him. So you could have gone to the wrong one potentially and not realized it.
Yeah, that's true. I remember I saw that meme. There's two versions of it, but both of them are optional bosses, and both of them are tough. Like I remember like before the first initial nerf, and I'm in the camp of who beat Radon before the nerf. Like they're hard. Well, Radon's like more like you have all these other like summons in the game that you can bring in that can help you. It's actually a really cool fight. But there's a reason why there's only 40% of players who got past him so they can go and actually play the DLC. They tell you, it's hard. They told you. So anybody who's complaining that it's too hard, it's like, and listen, let me be very clear. When I said that was my regret was going in without like, with the new Game Plus character. I don't know about people who are doing new Game Plus 7. Like, Godspeed to you. I salute you. But when I was playing through, like, there's some of these bosses were just so difficult for me. Like, I had to change my whole build multiple times. But there was like one day, like I was just like having an off day, and like I was stuck between 3 bosses, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. It was before I learned that I had to, I was so stubborn that I thought that what I had could carry me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has to do with like, if you summon in, whoever summons into you, they're at the mercy of your whatever fragments you've collected. So if you only collected, if you're only, shadow level now 3, anybody you summon in, they're going to also only be shadow level 3. So everyone, so the bosses are tankier, and they tell you they're going to have more HP. You're going to take more damage. It's so the game is it is balanced if you play it the way they want you to. They want you to look around and explore. They put a boss right in the beginning, jail in the beginning that everyone wiped on. I wiped on him for like an hour. Like so it's difficult, but it's not
I must be a fast learner because I hit him once and went no, and then ran away.
Oh, the tree sentinel.
It's right there. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
no, I'm talking about the DLC.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the DLC.
Oh, DLC.
Yeah, there's like the mausoleums, and you go in, and I feel like everybody I know did the same thing. We're like, oh shit, there's a boss in here, but they won't let you summon unless you could summon like a friend. But there was a bug in the beginning when it first launched because the servers were so they were so overcrowded that my game kept telling me I was detected for inappropriate content, or inappropriate behavior, like I was hacking.
Right.
And I sat there and I was like, I'm a good girl. What's going on? I've never done this. And it was just like turn it off and turn it on again.
Right,
but
right.
like, and it would alleviate. But I sat there and I was like, what? Why would you do this to me? And because when we were playing through Dark Souls 3, one of my friends was playing, they got banned for using using Wiimote offline, and like that's fine, that's your prerogative. But like they were a lot more sensitive on that one, and so on the servers there, so that on Elden Ring they were just so like they hit a peak of like 700,000
Concurrent
players concurrently. Like it was crazy, and the peak of the which is insane considering like when the game first came out, its peak was at 900 some odd thousand, like almost just shy of 1 million concurrent players. Like so that's incredible for a DLC. That's insane for a launch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question for both of you pertaining to Eurogamer's review.
Okay.
So it's justified to say it's difficulty for difficulty's sake. Is that what you want out of your Elden Ring Souls-like DLC?
So,
or
Brian,
are you just looking to move through the world as you were and just experience?
So traditionally, Souls games, the DLC is always going to be harder. And I think it was something to reasonably expect with Elden Ring. And I think I'll take this opportunity to explain the reason why there's this shadow or skidoo tree or skidoo tree fragments. Obviously, when you complete Elden Ring, you could complete it on your first playthrough. Maybe you're level 70. Maybe you're level 140. Maybe you've done New Game Plus 1, 2, 3 through to 7. Gene Parker, he entered the DLC at level 700 and something. How do you scale difficulty when your range of players is level 1 to 999? People that have explored the game, done all the zones, done all the areas, found all the gear, all that stuff. So that's why
they had to do the fragments.
They did this fragment system. But technically, this is probably a little hyperbolic to say, but technically your level means fucking nothing in the DLC.
Yeah.
Because if they scaled off your level,
and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if they scaled off your level, they wouldn't be able to. It would be too easy for some people, and not impossible for others, because they would have to account for the level 999 players.
And like I said, that they do also. You are at so. I last night or like the past few streams, I've been putting my own sign down because I want to help people on bosses that I was struggling on. Like I have a build. So like I showed a clip on my Twitter. Like I was doing the perfume build. It's broken. Like it's so like for certain bosses, it destroys them. And I'm my blessings at level 17. But I was trying to help people, and you're at the mercy of who summons you in. So like I've gone in and like just completely wrecked things and helped people while I'm helping them. And then I've had others where like I could tell they don't have very many of the blessings, and like I'll be like, Jesus Christ, what's going on with this guy's fucking, like he has so much HP, he's so tanky.
Yeah.
And it's because like that you're at the mercy there. And I'm only level 200, and I've had people come into my game who are like level 400. And everybody I play with, we all stay around the same level just to be as balanced as we possibly can. Yeah. But yeah, when I first started the DLC, like, dude, I lasted like I got one shot a lot. I got like, or if I wasn't one shot, I got two shot. Like it was legitimately frustrating sometimes. I will admit that, until I started really taking my time, exploring the area, finding all the blessings, and like just real, and also again, like getting rid of my stubbornness, because I didn't want to change my build for a while. I was like, I haven't found a weapon. I'm like, I don't want to change my build. This is stupid. You got no fucking excuse sometimes, because I fought a boss where he was on a boar and I got gored immediately in the door. Like that? No one liked it. No one liked my rhyme.
Yes. Sorry.
But
so just to finish off explaining the shadow tree system. So obviously, to facilitate all types of player, all types of progression, some people may not even finish the game. Once you've beaten Radahn and Moog, you can go into the DLC and then finish the game.
You can beat them pretty early on too, if you know how to do it.
So the point of the Shadow Tree fragments is the secondary system that, instead of going, oh well, we will, because the alternative would be to add a new leveling system, but that sounds stupid. Why have you got two levels and only one of them applies? So they've integrated this system where the expectation of the player probably isn't quite matching the expectation of the developers, because at that point most of the players who have beefed out their characters are in this mindset where they can just run in and bonk someone and probably one-shot them because they're beefy in the base game. So they don't probably explore as much as they should have. The game, and even the Twitter account for Elden Ring was like, go get these fucking fragments. They are the secondary power system. You need them.
They put them in the game. They want you to get them. Yeah. And I will say, like, in comparison to the base game, a lot of the boss designs, they're very aggressive. It's probably some of the most aggressive boss designs I've actually come across. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Never met a non-aggressive Dark Souls type boss.
So from what I've been hearing, they like you in the base game, you can summon, because obviously you get your summons once you're in the arena. From what I've been hearing from a number of people, is it's incredibly difficult to bring out your mimic tier, for example, when you first enter the arena, because the boss will just snipe you straight away. They'll just come at you. So you have to create a window of opportunity to then get your summon. I've been hearing that the combos are generally longer, so it's a lot more difficult to actually get your own combos in. A lot of people have been playing like more bonky builds, so they'll go bonk after a long combo, jump out, and then watch another really long combo.
There's the final boss, for example. Like I got summoned in. To practice for my stream, I decided to like let other people get summoned in for other people's games, and I was like, and also it gives you a good idea to like kind of scope out what other people are doing. And I was waiting by the fog door, and he has a move that it knocked me and the other person out. I didn't die, but I got hit, and I was like, I'm not even in there yet.
Right.
It's nuts. Like some of these attacks are no joke, and I will say that it is some of these boss designs, like I wouldn't be surprised if there's some changes later. Like there might be a patch to try to, tone. Like the AI is really hard to predict. Like there's like certain, like you go in and you're like, oh, they always do this attack. I already know, and they've been changing it up. It's actually like I've seen that no-hit run people who do no-hit runs are really struggling to figure it out, and I think like they anticipated that, and they designed the game around that, like to try to like make it more difficult. And I will applaud the developers, and I'm struggling still. I've never struggled this much on a final boss before. Like even Ishin in Sekiro didn't take me this long. I think because he took me like 2 hours over 2 days. And I'm pulling out all the stops. I'm going back. I'm respecking to try to figure it out. And eventually, once I figure it out, whatever that build is, I'm gonna stick with it, and I'm gonna go and help other people, because like it's a hell of an experience. And I think it's worthy of all the high reviews. If you haven't played the DLC yet and you're looking forward to it, just be prepared. It's no cakewalk. I'm not the best Souls player. I'm no veteran. I don't call myself that.
Makes sense why they locked that behind a particularly tricky boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't ever be ashamed. And don't let, because I like and I hate the Souls community. Sometimes they're really cool. and sometimes they're just really toxic. The people who are saying that the shadow fragments are easy mode or to make it easier, they can go fuck themselves. If they put them in the game for yourself, for you to use, and if you choose to use them, that's on you. If you choose not to, that's on you too. But don't think that you're less than because you choose to summon in, you choose to bring in friends, you choose to use certain buffs, you choose to use certain builds, or you choose to use the fragments. That's all there for you. That's for you. What you determine your own fun, not anyone else. That DLC is great. Well done. I can't wait to have a spoiler cast for this with Brian.
Yeah.
In a month, people will be beating that boss with no armor, no fragments, no weapons.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing as well. So
there are already people doing that.
So to answer your previous question, Peachy, I read things. So I pay attention to what's on the screen. I know about the shadow fragments because I've been paying attention to what FromSoft have been saying and things like that. I suspect what has happened with a lot of people is they've, as I mentioned before, they got this mentality that they can just run in because they're already beef castles, and then they get hit by this wall where the bosses are scaling off a different system and they haven't explored properly or as thoroughly as they should have. Since the bad reviews on Steam have come out, a patch has come out where they've reiterated everything. Now, if you collect a shadow tree fragment, or when you first find one, it tells you twice. It says, you need these, it gives you more damage and more defense. Get these fucking fragments.
They don't fuck with you.
It tells you twice. So now, in the space of like 2 days, it went from 40% and it's now 71, 72%. So immediately the player behavior has changed. And I think that was the main issue. It's not they've made it too hard for the sake of difficulty. I think it's just players' behavior expectations didn't match what the developers thought players were going to do. Maybe it wasn't telegraphed as well.
The first grace you find after, like, because you go and find, like, you see the rune like standing up. It's like it's very ostentatious. So you can't miss it. It's the Michaela's rune, and they're like placed around. They have them at those like little, there's more than that just in those places, but anytime you see those like bright shining gold beacons, it's going to be there. And I think even a character explains it to you too.
Oh yeah.
I am being told by Souls fans that reading things is cheating get good.
Yes.
That is absolutely don't
true.
Read anything.
Do not read anything. Do not even open the game.
Only time I've ever read
outside
something
and take on a bus.
In a Dark Souls game, I fell off a cliff and died. So I immediately went offline. I have never played a Souls game online ever, and I never read those fucking things on the floor.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. There's a classic one at in the base game. You know, the very first church that you start in. You can get returned back there eventually. And if you turn around from the place where you get teleported into, there's a butterfly that you can collect, and there'll be like a sign going, oh yeah, go collect the butterfly. You go to collect it and the floor falls away and you die. So yeah, that's caught a lot of people out and things like that. But yeah, I think it's reasonable to expect the game to be more difficult because the entire idea of FromSoft games is to have some form of challenge, at least in the Soulsborne-like games. I think it was just players going into it with the wrong mindset and learning very, very quickly after this new patch came out saying, you know, do all this. Like, some people have called it a nerf as well. It's not a nerf. They've just rebalanced it. They've basically made it bottom heavy. So your first few fragments give you a bigger buff, but it's still the same amount of power once you get I think it's 20 in total or whatever, as you would have pre-patch.
Yeah.
It's just bottom heavy, so you get more power sooner.
What's crazy is, like, even though you're right, it's like the later ones aren't as big of a buff. There are times where, like, I walked away from a boss, and I went and I got like a couple more levels on my skadoosh, and world of difference. World. Like, I was struggling with Mesmer, and that's who let me solo her. It changed his name to. Yeah. He's helping people with Mesmer, because Mesmer's pretty intense. And I remember I was struggling on him, and I was like, oh my god, like, I don't even know what to do. And I did figure out, like, I used the Reduvia for anyone listening. He was struggling. melts him. But went off, and I remember I was like going like, God damn, like why is he so fucking hard? And then my husband pointed out, he's like, why don't you just go get some more of those fragments? Go look around, go find some. And I went, got 3 levels up because I apparently wasn't looking enough. And I mean, I still needed help. Don't get it twisted. But he's tough. He's a toughie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I got it.
And that's the entire point of Elden Ring, though. Like they drove that into you as soon as, like Peachy, you were saying, you hit the tree sentinel as soon as you came out with the starting area, and you were like, no, fuck that, mate. And you go and explore, and then you come back later. But by the time you get towards the end of the game, things tend to get a bit more streamlined. You're not pushed back as much because you've built up power, so you end up just plowing through everything.
The developers want you to succeed.
Yeah.
They're trying to teach you, and they're teaching you a hard lesson, and you just have to adapt. It's like when, you know, Sekiro was like one I was scared of the most, for example. It's still a Souls game, and when I was playing that, I was, you know, I go in like kicking my feet, like I hate parrying. I'm like the worst at parrying. But the game, just like Elden Ring, like they're all designed to teach you to keep going. And I like, there's times like, dude, I struggle a lot too. I'm nothing special. But then you saw like the clip I posted where I just ended a boss in like 42 seconds. And I was like, whoa, I felt so powerful that day. And I was struggling a little bit on her until I had to rewire my thought process and be like, stop going in. I keep getting told, stop wailing. Don't wail. Just go in and just slow down, take your time, be patient. And as soon as I'm patient, like it changes the whole experience.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people,
I believe in you, Tarnished.
A lot of people, Elden Ring. Fucking hell, that was difficult to say. Something Dr. Disrespect won't play. Elden Ring was the first Souls like they played. So many people played that game.
Yeah.
That wasn't just Souls fans. Like I played it and I fucking hate Dark Souls. I've played them all. I don't like them. They're not for me. But I actually like Souls likes. And I really enjoyed it. And I like that hunt around, find stuff, get stronger, come back, kill the thing. And I was taught that instantly by the first tree. So it just sounds like stubbornness.
Yeah.
For people not to do that.
I think it's people going into the DLC not realizing it's a soft reset, essentially. Because your levels don't match
and like
anymore.
that's why I said like I had to kick my own stubbornness. At one point I was like, there's the board fight. Like I had to use a shield. There's no way I was gonna go in without one. And I don't use shields. I don't like heavy builds. I'm usually like medium light roll, like kind of thing. And it's just like I had to accept the fact like what you're doing isn't working anymore. So try to like relearn. And again, I did the same thing, summon someone in, scope out what they're using. And you're like, oh shit, everyone who's coming in has these big old chonky shields. And then I watched someone just stop them and I'm like, oh, you learn.
Do we think that review is valid then?
I would say it's valid because at the end of the day, that is the experience they had.
It's his experience.
Yeah, I would say it's valid. Obviously I can't speak for the guy, but I suspect he probably went in with a beefy character and was just like, cool, I plow through everything. I should be able to plow through it. And then he didn't check himself. He wrecked himself, as it were. You know, just genuinely, like, I can't obviously speak.
He fucked around. He found out
too much to it because I've been holding off from playing it because of how saturated the category is. But treat it as a soft reset. If you've yet to play it and you're going to play it, go in knowing that you have to scale power again. Your level doesn't matter. You're going to have to beef up your weapons a bit more. You're going to have to actually find these fragments that are essentially a secondary leveling system, and without them you're going to struggle until you actually learn the patterns and things like that. And like you were saying before, you're going to get to a point where in a month's time people will know all the cheesing tactics. They're going to know the patterns. They're going to be guide videos about it. IGN are constantly making guides about it at the moment, like what to get before you take on X, Y, and Z boss and stuff like that. That is going to get solved, and that's part of the experience as well as learning all of that with the community. But I suspect he was just probably some bloke who like I follow a lot of journalists who talk to each other, and they've been helping each other out.
Like they're trying to get their review out, and they thought, you know, I don't know, like I don't think they always just read everything. You know, you see that a lot with journalists whenever there's a
Timeline, they got a deadline to get their
they got
review out.
deadlines, yeah. So they don't have time to be sitting there and reading everything. And I'm not defending, like I don't want to defend like doing lackluster work and that, you know, like trying to like skirt, you know, avoid, you know, playing it authentically. But when you treat it like a task like that, you're gonna miss out on things like important things. Like I don't care. I don't care what they have to say. I just gotta get through this. You know, I gotta play through so much so I can get my review out. There's even a chance that it could have been something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a lot of reasons. We don't know what their circumstances at the end of the day. Like, there could have been, like, I know of journalists who were in Discord groups together and they were helping each other around. There's some people who did it completely solo and found like 3 of the areas and didn't know that there were 2 other hidden areas and stuff like that. It's a valid experience nonetheless, because that is how it felt to them. And I think it's always really silly when people try and write reviews off and say, no, you didn't play it properly, you didn't do it. That's how they experienced it. Like,
yeah,
that's how they
and listen,
played
like
the game.
everyone's
And that's
experience
how it felt to them.
is their own experience. So like, you know, not everyone's that is going to be able to be top of their game on this and on any of these games. And you shouldn't think that way with anything. And I even need to take my own advice on that one, because it is hard. And there are times you go like, fuck, why am I so bad at this?
Right.
It's just the game.
Did you have any more questions, Peachy?
No, not really. I don't think I'll be trying that DLC because that review for me is perfectly valid because of my preferences.
And that's fine.
On Souls, it's not that I don't like hard games. I like certain hard games, but I can understand. I can understand people be like, "Oh, just play it this way," because Doom Eternal, a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is really difficult and not fun and stuff." And I didn't find it difficult because I immediately saw what the developer wanted me to do, and I trusted that the fun would be there. And I played it that way, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's not an easy game, but you know, it's not."
Yeah.
When you play it the way you're supposed to, or when you like reevaluate how you're supposed to be doing a thing, you can find a better solution.
Mm-hmm.
But I like difficulty for difficulty's sake is a thing. That's a real thing. I think that is prevalent in a couple of Souls games. Just because it should be hard, we made it a bit harder. I think that's valid, but it does seem a bit harsh to be giving it a 3.5.
Yeah, no, 3.5 is a little harsh.
Yeah, it does seem because
you could still like kind of go about it how you did. It's like I know what the developers want me to do, and if I play it that way, I could see the value in it. But when you just go like
people weren't seeing what the developers were telling them to do.
Yeah, but a 3 out of 5 sounds like I don't want to do what they're telling me to do. It's too hard. Fuck it, I'm out. You know, it's like
I mean, it could have been like he just
that could be attributed
to
any review. That could be attributed to any review that's negative when it's like in contrary to other reviews. Like, you know, like we've seen it with, you know, if there is a replayability aspect and the game wants you to keep playing the game and to get the full scope of it. Well, you only have and you have a reviewer that only plays like a few hours. You know, so it's like they're not going to get the full scope. Some games do take a little bit more time to get going, and you're not going to get that in a 2-hour review.
100%.
Okay.
We'll wrap things up. So there's a couple of subjects that I'll just quickly touch on, just news in the gaming sphere, and then we'll do shout outs. So there's the Steam Summer Sale currently going on. If you're not aware of it, that kicked in yesterday or the day before, so do check that out in your wish lists and whatnot if you've been saving up. Last Epoch's next cycle hits on July 9th. They are introducing a new boss system as well as like new systems within the monoliths. So there's like mini bosses that you can kill towards the final pinnacle bosses, we tend to refer to them as. I'm looking very much forward to that. Diablo 4 is currently doing its PTR in prep for Season 5, which is quite surprising because they said they would only do a PTR for like major updates, so we weren't expecting a PTR each and every season. So the fact that they've done one this time around was a shock to people. I don't think they were expecting anything until like post expansion. I haven't checked out because it doesn't look that meaningful to me, and I'm probably going to hold up from Diablo 4 until the expansion, personally speaking. TwitchCon in Rotterdam is currently ongoing. There haven't been a lot of updates. There are going to be some new statues that you can get, kind of like the YouTube play button when you reach certain milestones. So when you've had 5 million hours watched, 10 million hours watched, and 50 million hours watched, you'll get like either a purple, a marble, or a chrome statue in the shape of the bleed purple heart. Guest star, or stream together as it's stupidly now called, is going to have like a drop-in call feature, so you can set who can call you. But if you for example say it to partners and people I follow whilst you're live, they can call into you kind of like a Discord call and be like, oh hi dude, I'm just talking to you, rather than using Discord. I don't think that's going to get used much because people are just going to use Discord, but it is what it is. And then there was a TOS
Streamers
update.
don't like to be interrupted when they're doing their thing. Sorry, Twitch.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, that, like, for example, I do have a channel that I will sit in sometimes, and I have people that have permissions to drop into it, but I will specifically put myself there, and I suppose that's what this system's going to be, but it already exists, and people already use that, so... and then there was the TOS update with regards to broadcaster offered benefits, so people are speculating that maybe they're finally actually going to make subs customizable, like they said when they first introduced tier 1s and tier 2s and tier 3s, so that you can actually add more to it other than a tick box for you can get Discord access and extra whatever it was, emotes and stuff like that. So we'll have to see what comes of that. There was a couple of other things, but they're small and minor. So Pulp, where can we find you?
Hi, I'm Pulp Fictionally. I'm a former Instagram model turned variety streamer. You can find me on all social media under Pulp Fictionally, except for Twitter because someone stole my name. That's Plot Fictionally. I've been streaming every day in June. It's been a hell of a ride. I'm still playing through Elden Ring. I won't be streaming tonight because I have D&D, but I will be back tomorrow night to play more Elden Ring and probably wipe on the final boss again for another few hours. It's gonna be wonderful. Yay! Peachy.
Hi, I'm Peachy Pixelate. I like games. I'm streaming a lot of Project Zomboid. I love Warhammer. I'm gonna go play Warhammer tomorrow, no, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'll tell you all about that in the next podcast that comes up. You can find me on things Peachy Pixelate. You can find Brian where?
Everywhere, in your butt, and all those other things.
He's everywhere.
Everywhere.
He's coming out of the
Not
walls.
again. But yes,
My mic was muted. Oh!
but yes, so you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all under Brian the Pirate. Thank you, as always, to my co-hosts for joining in on this spicy episode and indulging in Elden Ring discourse. We will be probably talking about that more in the future once I've played the game, which will probably not be for a while because I have to make a new character because the computer getting fried a year ago.
I will join you, Brian. Kevin and I will join you.
Oh no, I played the game solo. I'll go through a solo experience, but we will have a spoiler cast once I've done that. It will probably be
Fine.
after the last Epoch stuff.
Well,
Otherwise, I'll. Sorry.
I'm joking. I was saying, well, the offer's off the
We're a
table.
minute over. Go.
So I will be streaming tomorrow at around about 3 p.m. at British summertime. I'll probably actually start leveling a new character in prep for the DLC and then jumping into the last Epoch cycle in July. But that's going to be it from us this evening. Thank you all, afternoon. Thank you all once again for joining us. Farewell. We'll remember you.
I won't.
He won't.
Bye.